Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 5, Episode 20. Ferengi Love Songs. Quark has to deal with the relationship between his mother and Grand Nagus Zek, whose memory is failing. So, what did you think?
It could have been worse.
Yes, it could have been worse. There were a few bits which made me smirk, I suppose.
Quark is at his best when he's scheming and trying to manipulate people, and we get that here, so I enjoyed that.
Well, yeah, he was kind of scheming. He did a terrible suicide ruse and told the Nagus a bunch of extremely transparent lies.
Well, low-level scheming here. I just like when he has ulterior motives and he's trying to do stuff.
That's true. That is usually a lot of fun. Just 2 episodes ago, we saw him playing arms dealers against each other, and that was good. Not sure this one is quite up to that level of quality, though. And by
No.
not sure, I mean I'm certain it's not.
This doesn't match that at all. I don't like the reveal that the Grand Nagus's memory is failing him.
Do you mean the way they showed it?
No, I mean, how was he functioning as Nagus before he met Quark's mother?
Well, maybe she gave him advice on Tongo because he was having a little bit of problems. So I guess it's a progressive thing.
Okay, I can swallow that easier. That he met her when those symptoms started to happen.
It still makes very little sense because Quark figured it out in 2 minutes. Anyone would figure it out in 2 minutes. He's a massively important economic leader who would have contact with hundreds of people who'd never be able to fool them all.
Especially not at the stage of deterioration we see him at.
Yeah, I kind of doubt. It's sort of like how the whole episode kind of undermines the Ferengi. It shows their world and the Nagus and so on, but he doesn't seem much like an economic leader. He's mucking about so much. Kind of like a couple guys come to see him to ask really basic advice. It seems like a world that's kind of empty.
It does, and it makes us wonder why the Ferengi economy hasn't collapsed well before this. If he is indeed so vital and has a crucial role.
Well, Quark crashed the economy in 1 day. So, yeah, someone who has a failing memory, even if they're being well advised, if they're that important, it doesn't make sense that he'd be able to keep everything together. But at the same time, he doesn't seem to do anything anyway. Just dispatch random advice and deal with his own business interests.
Before this episode, I thought of the Nagus as more of a figurehead and not an actual functioning part of the Ferengi economy. So this episode makes that all strange because he's presented as this important part, but then how have things not just been disastrous before this?
Yeah, he takes all these trips to Deep Space Nine and pretends to be dead or whatever. What? How is the economy held together? But that's what I mean. I think it's very bad world building in this episode. It doesn't feel like a convincing society at all. There was a B plot as well. We had Rom and Lita being love struck and arguing about weddings or whatever. You can tell I care.
You care so much.
So, yep, that was the B plot. Or we could at least discuss it, I guess.
It's a thing that happened in this episode.
Yep, I believe the main crux of that B plot was that Rom was a Ferengi and Lita wasn't. I think they mentioned that in one or two of the scenes, or 3, or 4, or 5.
I'll compliment a few things about that plot. So, when Rom quotes one of the rules of acquisition, Lita says, "That's a stupid rule." And I'm glad somebody finally pointed that out instead of letting it go, that we're supposed to simply accept every rule of acquisition as a pearl of wisdom. I wanted to hear someone say, "No, that's stupid." And we get that here.
Did he quote number 94? Females and finances don't mix.
Yes, Rule 94.
Yes, it is a stupid rule. The rule might as well have said Ferengi guys are super sexist.
And that rule is not unique in being a stupid rule of acquisition.
It's one of the many stupid rules, although I will say some of them are pretty decent. There's a mix. What other ones did we get in this episode?
Rule 208?
Well, go on. What was it?
I didn't write it down. I just have the number.
Sometimes the only thing more dangerous than a question is an answer. Wait, questions are not inherently dangerous, though.
What if you're in a society where questions get you killed? I'd be dead right now.
Answers would not be dangerous. They wouldn't be more dangerous than questions.
If you're playing Jeopardy in that place.
And then you wouldn't last long. What? This rule is stupid without having really bizarre circumstances.
A lot of these rules you're not meant to analyze. You're meant to hear it once and then think about it for a flash of a second and then nod approvingly.
Well, so you're saying this entire conversation is going to be problematic?
Possibly.
Well, okay, well, let's keep going.
Rule 229?
If you didn't write them down, then why are you saying the numbers?
I cared so little that I
Okay.
didn't bother to write them down.
Letting them last longer than lust. Nice alliteration. And you think that a rule about not throwing your cash away for true love would probably be earlier, but who knows?
True love doesn't seem like it would be very common on Ferenginar.
Well, that's why we've got to treasure what Ishka and Zek have.
It's so beautiful in how grotesque they are.
There's actually another rule of acquisition. I don't know if you noticed, because they didn't number it.
I likely missed it.
Well, it was number 18, which was a Ferengi without profit is no Ferengi at all. Which we previously heard in Heart of Stone, apparently. Which brings me to another point. Zek says something, and Quark says, "Oh yeah, rule 229 or whatever." Why do they point out the numbers all the time? All the Ferengi are supposed to know them, so what's the point in that?
It shows that you know them.
But you're supposed to know them anyway. What's the advantage to ensuring other people know them if they're such good advice?
It's a status thing. It goes along with making nothing but profit. It's to show your worth. I'm so much better than this Ferengi because I have so much more profit. I'm also so much better because I know the number and the rule.
Okay, but they also always give the full rule as well. It's just a pointless detail. I was trying to think of things to say about this episode, so I wrote that down.
One of the rules is to state each rule with its number.
But never state that rule.
Yes.
It's the hidden rule. Maybe that's rule 0.
Yep, there we go. Rule 0. Never not say the numbers with the rules.
Wow, this rivals Asimov's 0th law of robotics for interesting twists on numbered lists of things.
Also,
It doesn't, though.
I really enjoyed that paying respects is literal in Ferengi culture.
Oh, that was nice. Although, why is he getting, like, dollar tips? I guess it's probably a traditional thing, but it's... Why would you just give him a little slip of latinum?
For his keen insight.
Yeah, but if the president of America carried your luggage, would you really slip him $1? He's like a bazillionaire, so he has so much wealth and status that it is meaningless to give him a tiny amount of money. Or you'd think it would be like, yeah, pay a massive amount of respect, chuck a whole bar in there.
He's rich, but his palace needs continual upkeep. I assume he has a palace.
No, but he's not going to pay for a alleged palace upkeep with dollar tips. He's going to use his massive fortune to do that. Or just write it off as a traditional thing and move along.
All right. Another thing I enjoyed was the gag where people kept appearing in Quark's closet.
Oh, wait, hang on. That's something that annoyed me.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know why you're reaching for things to compliment about this episode. Okay, I guess in terms of the quality of it, probably want to find good things rather than be overwhelmed with sort of bad stuff. So when Zek is first in the closet, it's because he was hiding there, right?
Yes, he was already there, and then here's Quark enter, and then hides in the closet.
Then later on, Brunt beams into the closet?
Yes.
What? Did he want to talk to Quark? Why didn't he just phone him?
It was an unsanctioned interaction. He's not meant to do business with Quark.
Right. Okay, well, he's not doing business with him.
Still, it would sully his reputation for people to know he's interacting with him.
But he phones him later on.
That's when he reinstates him, right? Gives him another license?
Yes, it is. Okay, fair enough. Then I can return to enjoying the bizarre closet gag.
It is weird. I think that's why I like it.
It was one of the few likable things about the closet. About the episode.
Oh, I have another thing I liked.
It's starting to sound like you actually like this episode.
There were bits I liked. Overall, it's whatever.
What was this other likable bit?
So when Kira and Lita are on the promenade and Lita is complaining about Rom, there's at the end of it, Kira laughs in Lita's face, and it felt like a genuine laugh from Nana Visitor, and I hope it was, and they left that in. It was just cute to see. I thought maybe she couldn't handle the way the actress for Lita scrunches her face and had to laugh.
She's Bajoran. The nose is supposed to look like that. No, I know what you mean. It's kind of a silly script, so I can imagine having a giggle about it. This episode had a terrible piece of script writing.
Go on.
Like a very specific piece that was particularly terrible. Most of the episode, the writing is, fair enough in terms of dialogue. It's not a problem, certainly. But Rom says, of all the Bajoran prophecies, I think my favorite is Horan's seventh. And then he goes on to quote it.
Of all the Bajoran prophecies, I think my favorite is Haran's seventh. The one that starts, he will come to the palace, carrying a chalice.
Bearing no malice.
Overflowing with sweet spring wine.
Someone's been studying the ancient texts.
It's like a poem written by an emo 13-year-old.
Maybe it was.
Okay, well,
You don't know.
it is a Bajoran prophecy, so it frustrated me that it rhymes in English.
Coincidence.
Okay. Not only did it rhyme, it horribly forced rhymes.
See, in ancient Bajoran days, life expectancy was really low, so all the prophecies were written by 13-year-olds.
I could believe that.
They weren't expected to live past 15.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense. We know that Bajor was a peaceful place full of basically farmers and artists and nothing else. It was a bit of a cop-out at the end that Brunt left Quark with his business license. I guess that was the point of the episode, but he kind of says, well, I won't take it away because then you'll flub up and then I'll take it away.
It's the kind of line you would expect someone to say when they didn't have power to do what they wanted, but Brunt could take it away, and he should have.
He kind of implied that he could have Quark killed or something. Like there were harsher penalties he could dish out when Quark messes up, but we saw before that this kind of being ostracized from Ferengi business was pretty much the harshest thing he could do. Or it seemed like it at the time. He made Quark choose between death or basically exile.
I wanted Quark to continue to be exiled and not have a license, because then it gives him cause to do more underhanded and shady business, which could bring in different characters and results, such as what we saw with the arms dealer.
Well, yeah, because Quark's a kind of jerk, and it's satisfying seeing him out of his comfort zone. So this episode has slotted him right back into his comfort zone. He'll be able to sit in his bar faffing about again.
Which is a shame. I like when his back is against the wall and he has to be resourceful.
This is kind of the second thing this season that's just been washed away after Odo's solidity. Solidness has been just kind of undone.
And both things had great potential for story developments. And I don't see why they undid them so quickly.
Yeah, both of them led to at least one pretty good episode. There was The Ascent, which is a personal favorite of mine, and Business as Usual with Haggath, the arms dealer. So yeah, they should not have backed out of these so quick. He should have earned the business license back as a prize for doing a lot more, because they're just throwing away the potential for huge character development. But, well, whatever.
They were satisfied with one good episode with each aspect and then decided to go backwards.
On Star Trek, they have a severe case of the reset button, so it's must have been very liberating for them to even have continuity for this many episodes. It's unsurprising that things went back to the status quo. But it's good they're getting the feel for how to make things different and then keep them different. Something that happens in real life.
Things happen that are irrevocable, and then we have to deal with them.
And for a while, our TV heroes did too. Do you have any important financial quotes for us from this episode?
I actually don't have a quote.
How the hell are we going to round off this edition of this podcast then?
Did anything stick out to you?
Not really. They mentioned General Martok, and I got a little bit excited that he might be in the episode and say something, but no, not really.
You were teased.
No, I think this one didn't really have anything that stood out as a thing that I'd want to remember. I guess Quark's mother, who, by the way, is a different actress, and it's really noticeable. She did call the Negus Lobekins.
How do you feel about that?
Terrible. So that's there. Yep.
Is that our quote? A single word? Lobekins?
Well, we could do the whole sentence. Oh, Lobekins, don't forget your appointment calendar. What do you want me to say? There's nothing that stands out in this episode. It's not a good episode. It's not terrible. It's just extremely boring with a couple funny jokes here and there.
They seem determined to make a Ferengi episode work.
They'll give up one day.
I hope so.
There's only a finite amount of episodes left. They've got to have the final Ferengi episode one day. But since this is season 5, not today. We must go on, Lobekins, to find the next episode. Maybe it'll be another Ferengi one.
Oh my gosh. Back-to-back Ferengi episodes?
Yep. It could happen. But let's just go on and find out.
All right, let's find out and hope for the best. Or at least not the worst.
And don't forget your appointment calendar.
Okay.
Oh, Lopkins, don't forget your appointment calendar.